Hello and welcome to the FinanceSmartz Entrepreneurship Series. Here is our host, Arul Nigam.
Welcome to the third installment of the FinanceSmartz Entrepreneurship Series. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with Mr. Dennis Stanley. Chef Dennis is an entrepreneur and the founder of Chantel's Cakes and Pastries, a bakery that has served clients nationwide, from presidents and heads of state to celebrities like Oprah Winfrey. Chef Dennis also specializes in baked goods that cater to all dietary restrictions. So just to begin with, could you please tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and what experience or what factors made you realize that you wanted to become an entrepreneur, and what inspired you to get into the field that you're in?
Well, I started baking when I was little, about 6, 7 years old, and I fell in love with it. And I went in the kitchen and baked cakes, and my mother used to beat me for baking cakes. And the more she beat me, the more I baked. So 30 some years later, I'm still baking. My job started out as a hobby. So what I did was I took my hobby and made it a full-time job. So it's been fun ever since.
That sounds perfect. So really, it's like you chose what you were passionate, and I guess the entrepreneurship part came second.
Yes, it did. It came when I was very little.
So I guess in building, once you harnessed that passion and then started building your business, in the process of building your company, what were your greatest first successes and first failures, I guess, and what were the challenges that you had to overcome early on, and how did that affect your I guess, philosophy as an entrepreneur?
What I would say when I first started my business, a lot of things I didn't know, because all I know is I wanted to bake cakes. So, and I did a lot of learning on the job. What I would say, I think you are going towards a lot of the young entrepreneurs that's just starting out, pretty much maybe your age or even to older ones. I would say to a lot of entrepreneurs, especially the younger generation, that's teens are just starting out, I would say shadow someone in the field that you want to go in. Because let's say if you want to be a nurse, a doctor, or even a baker, or whatever the field is, find somebody in that field that you can shadow for a day, or maybe 2 days or for a week. And that way you can see if that's something that you want to do to make it a full-time career. That way it's not costing you anything. You spend a day with the baker. Like I have kids come in and see me, and they will spend a day with me to make sure that they want to go in the baking field, or no matter what the field is. And then if that's the field you want to go in, give them some of your time, because you'll find out if you give someone some of your time what you want to go into, even if it's multiple fields, then an entrepreneur that's already been there will tell you the do's and don'ts that they went through. I wish I had that when I was younger, but I started out working when I was really little. And so that entrepreneur spirit jumped on me without me knowing it. But then there's things that you don't know today with the internet. You can always go on the internet and just study of any field, whether you like it or don't like it. If you like it, then you can just see it on the internet and then ask questions. To this day, I still like asking a lot of questions about my field or even the field that I'm not in.
That makes a lot of sense. And so on that note of the entrepreneurial spirit and young entrepreneurs who are just starting out, in your experience, what would you say is the biggest trait or traits that distinguish successful entrepreneurs from unsuccessful ones? And for young people who are just starting out, what do you think they can do to acquire those traits? And aside from, from shadowing, they'll learn a lot of the lessons for preventing some early failures, but in general for growing their business sustainably.
What I would say, and to this day, I still do this. I've been in business now for 30 years, and I still do this to this day. Look, especially with the internet. Now I keep going to the social media with you. Look at the internet and find out what the need of the people are. If you find out you can take care of a need of people, that's something they want. And if you keep studying in that field, then you can find out that you can make a living out of it. And then, especially with the internet now, if everybody have a social media or Facebook page, ask questions. Put out there, for an example, if someone wanted to fix bicycles, for an example, then they can say, okay, who like riding bicycles? What's the problem you guys have with riding bicycles when you go out on the trail to ride bicycles? What always happened to you? And then if a lot of people keep saying the same thing over and over and over, then you know, wow, man, I can make a living out of that. For an example, my bakery caters to a lot of clients with food allergies.
Right.
So what I've done, I have no food allergies, but we're known well for food allergies. So what I done was I started listening to my clientele. If you listen to the clientele, then you find out there's enough people that want the same thing. Then you say, wow, man, I can make a business out of it. When it comes to getting cakes or cupcakes, you know, you can come here and get a cake and there's nuts around it. So I did my research and find out with the nut allergies and all the other food allergies, wow, man, I can make a living within my business that I already do, which could be another business within the business to take care of clients that have food allergies. And that became really good for us. Look at what people are asking for. A lot of times you may have an idea, and if you're not sure if it's going to work, then look around and see if someone else is doing the same idea. And today I look at a lot of big companies that's doing things, and I still learn from a lot of big companies. I may take out what they're doing and plug in and take their name off of what they're doing and then plug my situation into it. Like, for an example, if someone is selling houses, I look at what the people selling house market is, and I take out a house and I put a cake in that spot, and to give you some ideas of what you can do.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. That's a unique, I guess, like a really unique strategy where you look at across industry is what makes people successful, and then you apply that. So once you, based on like what you were just saying, once you identify your sort of niche, I guess, like the problem that only you are going to solve or only you have solved, from there, how do you continue to innovate? And I guess what's your process for creating new ideas and changing your products to better cater to your customers and grow your customer base?
Ask questions. Ask questions. I mean, I ask questions all the time. When clients come into my door, and especially if I've never seen them before, I will ask them, how did you hear about us? And then if I have I keep notebooks and I keep journals of, if a client keep telling me they hear from me from this, and that, then I know then that's a market that I need to be touching. If there's a certain culture that keep asking for the same thing over and over, I say, well, if that culture keep asking for that, then maybe I should steer my direction into that. Not that I'm not looking at the other things, but if you look at what everyone is doing, and then if that was working for you and not working, even if it works and it don't work, some things you're going to do that's not going to work. For an example, during COVID, when COVID first came, the first of the year, we took a nosedive. I mean, at the beginning of our season, beginning of March, we was going into the busiest season of the year for us. When we had graduations, baby showers, holy communion, weddings, birthdays, you name it. And all of a sudden, we hit a brick wall. So then now we had to pivot to find out how we can cater to the client to keep going. The first week in business, during the pandemic, we went down to like 1 day a week for my employees. But I remember when we had a recession, all the bakeries around Wall Street during that time, business went up. So I went back and did my research and found out why the bakeries around Wall Street business shot up during the recession. It's because dessert is a stress reliever. So all the bakeries, when we had a recession, all the bakeries, people went to the bakeries and they ate dessert to relieve stress. So I decided that what I was going to do, I was going to pretend that there was no pandemic. And I got on social media and I just started pivoting and just broadcasting stuff. I gave away a lot of stuff during the first part of COVID. So people on the social media would talk. If you get other people to talk about what you're doing, that makes your life a whole lot easier. And then what I did was I gave away like a cake a day or something. What I did was every day I did a cake, I did a giveaway. And the giveaway was I gave away things that a lot of people didn't know that we carry in the bakery. For example, I gave French pastries. And then my little tag was whenever I gave away something free, I put everything under that tag, what we do within the bakery. So then my clientele had to share it. So during the pandemic, we went from like averaging 10,000 views a month up to 117,000 views in 30 days. So we like went crazy with it. And then people started coming and we just had a fun time doing that. And then in the middle of the pandemic, Mother's Day weekend, even though we lost our regular business, even though I pivoted, the first time in 30 years, we sold out in the middle of the pandemic. Father's Day weekend, in the middle of the pandemic, we sold out again. So what I did was, based on what you said, I learned how to pivot and look at what I could do within my company to service other people. So to answer your question, if I didn't answer it, or if I did, look at what people are asking for and then cater to that.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. And that's the anecdote you brought up is really amazing. I never realized that. But since you brought up the pandemic and the recession, I sort of had a broader question.
Go ahead.
During like the toughest times, what drives you, and how do you stay motivated as an entrepreneur in general, especially I guess early on? There's a lot more challenges probably that can be really demoralizing. So how do you stay motivated and get through that?
A lot of things motivate me. Number one, I've been in business now for 30 some years, and not one day of my 30 years have been the same. Every day I come to work is a different day because we don't do the same thing over and over and over. One of the things that keep me motivated, especially when it comes to the allergies, I've heard stories of clients that have food allergies that if we didn't give them a cake or something, then they wouldn't be able to eat. So for an example, we just did a party last weekend and it was nut free. The kids found out at the party that the product that we delivered was nut free. They stayed at the dessert table the whole time at the party because they know they could eat that whole time at the party. And when I get those stories back, it makes me want to work harder to make sure I'm able to cater to clients like that, and as well as my regular clients too. But my clientele, I love the energy from my clients.
So it sounds like what you're saying is you should do something you enjoy, but you should also make sure it's something where I guess like the sort of making sure that you're making a difference in people's lives.
Right. Yes. Uh-huh.
That makes sense. And so like I know you're talking about sort of market research, basically, I guess, like making sure you're catering to what people need. But you just mentioned like how in your industry, you're doing something that makes a difference in people's lives, but you don't have any broader advice for across industries, how you can do what, regardless of what you're doing, make sure that you're doing something to help.
You can look at something someone else is already doing. If someone else is already doing it one way, then maybe you can take that same product and do it another way. Just because I'm doing my desserts the way I do it, I like an example for an example. There's a lot of bakeries. There's a lot of bakeries around me, and we don't compete with each other. But what we do is even though we're in the same business, we all work together with each other. I mean, there's things that I do in my bakery that another bakery don't do. There's things in another bakery that none of us do. So we all have our own niche of what we do. And I network with other bakeries. I network with the community, even the grocery stores. You may go to a grocery store and they may have a bakery within the grocery store, but if a client goes to the grocery store and need a nut-free cake, because a lot of bakeries and grocery stores, they have the nuts all over the grocery store. So we have that synergy where we work together well with each other. The grocery stores send me a lot of business because they can't do it in-house. So they can say, we can't do this, call Chantel's. So what we do is we look at what we do in order to fill that need for other customers.
That makes sense. And so on just like on that note, could you talk a little bit more about the importance of networking and building relationships, which I think you're getting at, and also how a young entrepreneur can go, or a new entrepreneur can go about that across industries?
You go out and you networking. When you're networking with clientele, you learn about what the other business is doing. And then you take their portfolio and you stick it in the back of your head. And if you go network with someone else, then you may remember that, oh, by the way, someone said, well, my kid has a speech problem. But you were just networking with someone a few days ago, and there was a doctor that worked with speech allergies. They said, oh, well, I just spoke to someone that can do that. So if the more people, there's a saying in business, the more people you help, the more successful you become. So no matter how young you are or how old you are, just keep your ears and eyes open. Not that you're doing something, but if you listen to what someone else is doing and try to support them. Because if you support someone that's doing something, then they say, wow, man, you came out to support me. So then that puts a bug in their head that when they hear something that you're doing, and they're going to go out, they're going to send those customers to you. So that way you're working back and forth, and it makes your life a little bit easier so you don't have to work as hard. So then you build your network of people, and then in your building your network of people, what you do is you build a trust within the network. So that where someone sends you some business or you send someone else some business, when you talk to that customer, they'll know that you're sending them someone that they can trust. To someone that they can trust, because your name is on the line.
That makes sense. Okay, I see that. So how does your success contribute back to your business? So how have you, in your years in business, how has your success transformed you and made you a better entrepreneur?
I love supporting my community. And one thing I will say about Loudoun County and the surrounding areas, the more you support the community, the more the community gives back to you. Because if people will see, I speak for Loudoun County. The more people you help, or the more people I help in Loudoun County, people see that you went out of your way to help a nonprofit, for example. And then when they're going to remember that you went and helped this nonprofit, whether it's breast cancer, prostate cancer, or a child's pain, whatever it is. But now when they come back to do something, they're going to remember that you went out of your way to support them. So then they're going to come back and support you. So the more, I believe in giving. I believe in giving to my community. I believe in supporting as people as I can, because if you support and give, it will come back to you.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good lesson. I guess what perhaps it's an extension of that. But what would you say is the most important lesson that throughout your entrepreneurial journey, what's the most important lesson that you've learned?
The most important lesson that I learned, if I give my clients good, I'm from the South. I like customer service. If you give clients good customer service, and they're going to come back to you. I just believe in good customer service. That's to me, more than anything, customer service. I believe in customer service. The more you I keep saying that, but if you give a client good customer service, they're gonna go out and tell somebody else. So the customer service can work for you or it can work against you. If you gave bad customer service, then that person you gave it to is gonna be like domino effect. They're gonna tell everyone else that you did this, you did that, you did that, you did that. But now if you were a good customer service and you treated them like they were your only clientele, but they're gonna say, wow, man, I went to Chantel's and I liked them. They gave us good customer service. They were friendly. They was nice. Then they're gonna say, wow, man, let me go to Chantel's.
So it's about having the good customer services. Yes. I guess sort of gets back to your your earlier point about building relationships and building trust and yes. I guess sort of networking to keep people coming back to you, right?
Yes.
Okay, so another question. I guess what would you say is the hardest part? I know you talked about like challenges early on, but throughout your time as an entrepreneur, what's the hardest or most surprising part that you've encountered?
Say again?
So what's your like before we discuss early on in your career, but just in general as an entrepreneur, what's the biggest challenge that you face in general?
Biggest challenge that I face, it's gonna sound negative, but it's not negative. The biggest challenge that I face in my business is employees. You have people that come to work, they have different personalities. And as the owner of a company, you have to learn how to work with different personalities. And not that everyone has a bad personality, you just have to be flexible and learn who you're working with. Because if everyone has a different personality and you learn their personality and you learn how to interact with them, and your business, if you take care of your employees are going to take care of you. So that's one of the hardest things I had to learn as an employer, is being able to understand my employees and being able to work with them. And I was saying, once I learned how to do that, that was hard. And I have to be honest with you, that was hard for me to do. But once I learned how to do it, we have a good time now.
So once you learn that, how have you adjusted the factors that you consider in building a team, and how do you build a team that I guess is cohesive and can work well together while still being able to serve your customers efficiently and well? When
I build my team, I don't just look at what the person is bringing to the table, because some people can come to the table, come in the shop and be the best, and have a bad personality. When I bring people into work, before I don't even read the resumes. I just sit and let's have a conversation. We have a conversation about life in general before we even look at a resume, because in the back of my head, I'm listening at that person talk to me, because not only when I sit down and talk to someone for an interview, I'm bringing all my employees to the interview with me. Because I know this person had this personality, this person had that personality. And if that person that's coming in the door, if I feel like they don't have the same synergy or personality that we all have, then they're not a good fit, even though they may be the best person doing what they do. But because if you bring that old saying, one bad apple can mess up the thing. So that one bad apple can cause everyone in here not to work. So when I go to the interview someone, I bring every person in here to the interview with me with their personalities, see how that personality will fit with everybody else.
So it's not just about like one-on-one, it's about the synergy with the
right. Because most of the time they're going to be working with everyone else and not me. So I need to make sure they can be able to work with all my employees.
Okay, that makes sense. And I guess on like, just since we're discussing relationships, I guess I know you've worked with some bless you, like high profile clients and just clients all across the country. So how does what does that work like, where you're not working with people where you have direct interaction like you would with most of your employees or clientele usually? Or it's something
we do have clientele. We work with a lot of other corporations, a lot of big corporations. A lot of the corporations that I work with, we don't know we're doing what we're doing when we're doing it. Right. It's because they have their security too. So there's clientele that I may have do something for today that I won't know I actually did that product for that client until maybe a month from now, because they had to keep it a secret that they did, that this was for XYZ. Prime example, when President Obama was in office, his daughter Sasha, we did her birthday cake. And it went on Air Force One because they was going out of town. So we did President Obama's birthday cake. Excuse me, for his daughter. When they came from to pick up the cake for his daughter, the cake, they came with security to pick up the cake. So when we gave them the cake went under security back to Air Force One. It had to be under security to go on for Air Force One. So those are the kind of things that we do. When Will Smith was getting married, we didn't know we was interviewed for his wedding cake. There's some other people from other countries, head of states, we did stuff for, and we didn't know we was doing it for them until after the fact, because my clientele came and picked it up. And after we picked it up and they told me for my next delivery, oh, by the way, what you did last week was for the head of state of this country. So we don't know. And a lot of times when we do certain things like that, I don't market it on Facebook. I don't say anything about it, because when I start talking on Facebook about we just did the president of this country, the president for that country, or we did that for other countries, then I could be a target. Oh, right. Because I can now be a target for people that trying to hurt people from that country. So I can say this now because it's after the fact. Kamala Harris' husband, birthday was a couple of weeks ago. We did his birthday cake.
Oh, wow.
But you don't see it on Facebook. I didn't market it because right. It was not something that I want. It's over now, it's after the fact, and we're gone with it. So we did his birthday cake for his birthday. And then a lot of times my clientele will tell me, you're doing X, Y, and Z, but you can't say anything about it. And then when you build that trust with the clientele, then they can trust you a whole lot more and send you more top secret stuff to do. So it's about building trust.
That makes a lot of sense. And I guess just a final question. It sounds like most likely your response to this will be about trust in relationships, but because I think that seems like it's the common theme for in your experience for being successful. But I guess could you just offer some parting words as someone who has been so successful already? Some parting words for young people who might just be starting out in entrepreneurship and aspire for a position like yours one day.
What I would say to all the young entrepreneurs like yourself, don't let the world stop you from doing what you want to do, because every ideal in this world that's big now and successful, it all started with an idea, and you never know where your ideal is going to go. So no matter what ideal you have, if that's your ideal, you was put on this planet for that ideal. So don't let someone come up and steal your ideal, because you could have had an ideal at the age of 9, 10, 11 years old to make lemonade. There's a lemonade girl out there. She's about 9, 10 years old that had a lemonade ideal. And so her parents pushed her to do it. Now she has lemonade in all the major grocery stores all over the country. And she's no more than like 10, 11 years old. Wow. So no matter what idea you come up with, just go to your parents and say, hey, this is what I want to do. And then just get support. Just build your support team. So don't let people stop you. If you want to do it, especially you guys now have the internet. You can go on the internet now and just learn everything you want. When we was growing up, we had encyclopedias. We didn't have it, man. You guys got the internet, you have social media, you got YouTube. You can come up with anything you want.
Well, thank you so much. That I think those are some really good parting words, and I think it'll be really motivating to all of the listeners. So thank you so much for your time. And
You're welcome. You're welcome.